Well, kia ora koutou and welcome to our World Menopause Day live stream. Yay, we made it. Woo! We are excited to be here today in association with the wonderful team from Menopause and some amazing experts and live guests. Now, if you are tuning in today, it usually means one of three things. Firstly, you've probably got hot flushes. Hello, welcome to the club. Secondly, you might love someone with hot flushes. If so, you are amazing, my friend. Or thirdly, you are just curious. You are curious and you're thinking about what does it look like? What do you experience? Am I the only one going crazy? No, you are not. But this will certainly be, I can guarantee it, hopefully a lot more educational and fun than something on Netflix or YouTube. So, but shout out to Netflix and YouTube. If you love us, please book us. Either way, welcome to the club, everybody. Welcome to the show. And listen, this is the only club where you don't need a membership card. You just need to probably have a fan in your handbag. Perhaps you've got a cold drink hanging out with you, and you've probably got a spare pair of undies just in case, because we all know what that's like, don't we? Oh, sorry, overshare, but you know, that's how we're going to roll today. Now, today in the party lineup, I am super excited to introduce you to our team. I'm Monique Bradley. I am a keynote speaker. I'm a, oh, hello to you. I believe you're here now. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a TV presenter. I'm a podcaster. I'm an MC. Look, I like to talk. Most of us do, which is why I'm really excited to host this event today. Over to my right, I have the amazing, fabulous Teresa Mailopa. Yay, welcome.
Thanks, mate.
Welcome. Teresa is one of our, I want to say human experiments. That sounds wrong. She is somebody currently living through, like myself, peri and menopause.
Right.
So you're bringing, like me, a few of the real stories today.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to dive in.
There's probably going to be a few funny ones for everybody out there, and then maybe a few serious ones too.
Oh, perfect. That's what we want. Now, further around the table today, we also have Yin Zhang, and Yin is the founder of Menopause. Welcome, Yin. I'm so excited to have you here. Menopause is a natural product that supports women through all stages of menopause. Thank you so much for all that you do and for putting this together and bringing us all together today. We're super excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And then finally, because, you know, it's not just about sharing funny stories today. It's also about, we want some information, real information. So we have an expert in the studio. Right on the very end of our panel today is Daphne Earls. She's a pharmacist, a clinical nutritionist, an all-round knowledge powerhouse with nearly 3 decades in this space. Welcome to you, Daphne.
Thank you.
So excited to have you here. All right, so team, we want you to buckle up. It's a big session ahead, or maybe if you're like me, you want to loosen your belt, loosen your pants a bit, because it depends on how bloated you are. And that's the level of conversation we're having today. Today we are all here to laugh, to learn, maybe even cry a little bit, but possibly only if I run out of snacks. So that's what it's all about. But I wanted to start off first. We all know we're going through it, or we're supporting someone going through it. I just want to, before we even jump into the actual topics, what I want to ask all of you is, did you grow up like I did without ever knowing anything about menopause?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember being at school and we were taught about puberty, because that was where we were at. And the only thing I knew about menopause was that women went crazy and they sweat a lot. Right. So Daphne, I'm going to shoot straight across to you. Growing up, what was your education around menopause?
None at all. Other than one day you won't have your period. That was it.
Wow.
Which is sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You can't wait to bring it on.
Right.
But,
And
nothing.
And for you, Yin, and the culture that you've come from, was it part of your cultural upbringing?
Well, even puberty was not something that taught to us. So imagine menopause, nothing. The only thing I knew about menopause is when my mom got really angry and moody, and my dad would joke about it. It's just a menopausal woman. So
Wow.
that's the only thing I knew about. So there's something there called menopause and supposed to make a woman crazy.
Yeah.
That's all I knew.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what about you, Teresa?
Yeah, no, I had no experience. I didn't even know my mum had gone through it. I guess probably my first bit of knowledge came when some of my slightly older friends started going through it, which, was like 5 years ago maybe.
It's crazy, eh? So it's been around since time began, and yet it only seems now that there's this meno revolution where women are actually starting to have open conversations. Why do you think that is? Why now? Why now, Teresa?
I think it's fantastic. I think that's the first thing to say. And I think it's just that it's becoming much more accepted now as women for us to be able to talk to each other about what we're going through. And I think that connection and understanding is so necessary. And so these conversations, I think we just realise we have to have them.
What about you, Yin? Why are we, you know, with all the research that you've done with your brand, why is it we are going through this Meno revolution? Or are we just becoming more aware of it? What's going on from your research?
It's probably not from my research, but I think back then we live in smaller communities. I think menopause was talked about, but not talked about in a larger environment like what we are today, but in a lot more closed communities, like cousins or aunties and family members.
Right.
Yeah. But now with how the way society is changing, we more living in an individual unit rather than in a sense of a community.
Yeah.
And that's what's triggered. But at the same time, women are still going through menopause. So that's changed how the conversation is having rather than are we talking about more now or less in the past?
It's just becoming more widespread.
Yeah, more widespread.
Women are sort of banding together to
Yeah.
go, oh, yep, me too, that's why I drink. But, you
which
know,
is-
all of those, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's serious. These are the conversations I'm hearing. So definitely from your perspective, what are you seeing? People coming into the pharmacy. Are you seeing this uprising of people going, yep, I've got the sweats, can you give me?
Everything from the itch to the scratch to the brain to the sexual dysfunction, everything. But I guess, I mean, being in health, you know, it's always talked about because you're getting those sick people coming in, but, you know, in everyday life it is not talked about. And I think maybe social media is opening that up, you know. People are more, you know, a bit like Menopause, bringing their brands to market, and that's what starts that conversation. So I think it is really important. And I think more options now for women, which I think is fabulous because, you know, we had very few options. And, you know, there's always a scale. You know, someone doesn't want medicine, someone wants medicine, medicine helps, medicine doesn't help. So we need other options.
Totally
and we
agree.
need to have those conversations so that people realise there are other options out there
Yeah, I love that.
if they get that, you know, closed door wherever they go.
Yeah, so they ask a million questions and they get, well, I've done your hormone tests and nothing's going on.
Yeah.
You're just going crazy. We don't want those conversations to continue, right?
No.
Totally agree. Now, for anybody who is watching today, what I can tell you is because we are live on social media channels, if you are watching and you've got questions, you are welcome to send your questions through. We're here to have an open conversation. We're here up until 3 p.m. to talk to you about what's going on, anything that might be coming through for you or resonating for you. So please feel free to share your questions, your comments, go crazy. So one of the things I really wanted to talk about today is some of the facts associated with menopause. So menopause, while most of us know it's about your periods stopping and quite a few changes going on in your body, it's, for me, the way that I've been explaining it to people is it's a bit like a software upgrade. So all of a sudden, you know, without permission, you know how your phone sort of resets itself overnight and you've got all these changes to the apps. Well, the same sort of thing I think is happening in your body. Or I've explained it to somebody else as it's a little bit like waking up in a foreign country and you don't know the language. For every single one of us, it seems that we all have a different experience or a different sort of ride. So even as I was talking to my mother the other day, she said, oh no, I didn't really have any symptoms at all. Wow. Lucky. Some women, like me, experience this full wave body flush of a hot flush. Some women are getting the mood swings. Some of them just want to randomly punch people. Some people, just get angry. Some get really emotional. Some get the whole shebang. And sometimes it all happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is just really annoying. So, Teresa, I wanted to jump in with you because you are our subject matter expert on living through it. What were the first signs that showed up for you? What's been the toughest? What's actually surprised you about this stage of your life?
Yeah, I think my very first symptom really was night sweats. I'd actually wake up and the bed was absolutely drenched.
Wow.
And of course I share the bed with my husband, so I actually couldn't get up, change the sheets. So the first time it happened to me, I had to get the towel out of the cupboard and sleep on the towel. And after that, I was at least ready by having the spare room bedroom made up so that I could switch beds. And then, I didn't actually associate that with menopause at all to start with. I thought, oh, maybe it was just a hot night.
Wow.
And then as things, other symptoms started showing up, and again didn't register that it was perimenopause at all. I would get sweats. My emotions were all over the place, absolutely all over the place, and I just didn't really know what was going on. I felt like I was going crazy, and so I thought, okay, now's the time best for me to go to the GP, right? Like that's what we do when you're not feeling right. And so she sent me for a blood test. And the response I got from her was, no, you're not perimenopausal because your hormones are normal.
So in that moment, did you just want to fight? Because the rage is real.
Yeah,
the rage is real.
It actually made me question everything. It made me actually wonder if I was going crazy. Because if I couldn't put it down to perimenopause, what was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Like it made me question whether I could still be the person I've always been, whether I could still perform at the levels that I'd always performed. And particularly, I'm a business owner, so I rely on my ability to be able to do a lot of work. And this was drastically affecting my ability to do that. Sleepless nights or close to sleepless nights, waking up somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock every night, tossing and turning and not being able to get to sleep. It's incredibly frustrating and all of those things. And yet my doctor wasn't able or had the knowledge to help me. Since then, I know for a fact that what I'm going through is definitely perimenopause. I was fortunate enough that I had both a physio and a chiro that actually knew quite a bit about it. And so when I go to them and complain about body aches and
They've got you.
And some of the other symptoms, and they would see me and they would go, you don't look like yourself, what's going on? And I'd explain it and they're like, you're perimenopausal. And since then I've spoken to nurses and I'm looking for a new doctor, definitely, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And so, for me now, I now know what is at least going on, and I do have a lot of thanks to Yin, because actually meeting Yin and understanding what Menamora is about and understanding what is going on in my body has actually really helped me to be able to respond to some of it.
Yeah.
It's been amazing for me to be able to go, what support does my body need?
And so how has that, we are going to talk about how it can affect us all professionally, because we're all professional women. And so many of us, particularly in this age group, we are, a lot of people we're busy mothers or busy business owners, because we've sort of maybe been, left our jobs because of being a parent. And then suddenly you go back to work and there's not a job for you. So you've got to create your own business or whatever your story is. And then you're expected to operate in this world of the way that you've always shown up. And suddenly the brain fog is so real. Oh, you guys saw me before this, and I was fluttering around like they would call it a blue-ass fly, wouldn't they? I was flying around going, I can't even remember, where did I leave my phone? Like, it's real.
Yeah, I love that feeling when you walk into a room and then you stand in the door and you go, why did I come in here?
Yeah.
And it was literally less than 5 minutes ago that you had the thought on what it was.
100%. You do start to question yourself, right? And so what has that been like for you, being a business owner and being in business and then constantly doubting yourself? How has that affected you?
Yeah, I've certainly learned that I have to be kind to myself. I have very high expectations of myself and always have throughout my life. And so when it came to perhaps not being able to respond and not being able to perform at that same level, I actually had to say it was okay. I adapted how I do things. Every single thing that I do throughout the day is scheduled in my diary. I put detail in there because if I don't put detail in there, I forget.
Remember.
I can't forget what it was.
Yeah.
or I'll do something completely ridiculous because that's what I thought I was telling myself to do.
And you told me a story about something ridiculous the other day. Are you cool to share that with the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go for it.
It'll at least give people a bit of a giggle, and I can laugh about it now. At the time, it made me feel like sick to my stomach.
Poor thing.
But a friend of mine had asked me to pick her up from her house and take her to the airport at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I put in my diary her name with airport. So at 5 a.m. in the morning, I got up, got in my car and drove to the airport to pick her up from the airport. And even, you know, the whole way there, I was adamant I was doing the right thing. I'd even text her to say, okay, I'm just around the corner, you know, let me know when you're ready, because, you know, then I can just pull into the pickup slot and they can put their bags in the car and jump in the car. And she's like, yeah, we're ready. And so I drive around the corner to the airport, pull up, and I'm like, where are you? And she rings me and she goes, well, where are you? Because we're on the driveway. Oh. And I just had this sinking feeling. And I was like, there's no way I could get back to her house in time to pick her up and get her to the airport in time for her flight.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I was horrified. And that was the moment where I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like, how do I make that mistake?
Yeah.
I've never made a mistake like that before in my life. I just felt stupid.
Yeah, and it's so real, right?
And thankfully for me, my husband was able to make it okay because he was still at home in bed. So we woke him up and he had to go pick them up and bring them to the airport. So, but yeah, for me, I couldn't go back to bed. I couldn't sleep. The whole thing, that was my moment where I honestly thought I had lost the plot.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. Thank you, Teresa, for sharing that, because it's actually really quite funny.
And both of us we can all look back at it now and laugh. But at the time it was something just pretty drastic, and it really knocked my confidence about who I was and how I could or couldn't remember what it was I was meant to be doing.
Yeah. Oh, it happens to me all the time. I remember a few years ago doing a keynote, and I remember luckily there was somebody I knew in the audience who shared a quote that he would often say in his presentation that I always also used. And I remember speaking to the audience going, because you know that famous quote, right, Dennis, your famous quote you share all the time in your keynote. And he went, and I put him on the spot because I completely forgot my quote. Luckily, most of the time, I never forget my presentations, but it was one moment where I went, whoa, this was a couple of years ago. So what's happening there? And luckily now I rehearse so much. Even I've always rehearsed a lot, but I rehearse even more so that I've got it in my muscle memory, because you never quite know what's going to happen, you know. Or I know somebody really well and I go to introduce them and I go, Teresa, this is what's the name? I can't remember it all.
My favourite one's when I start a conversation with a client about something, knowing what my point was, and then I get halfway through that and I forget what my point was completely.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And so then I'm like, I've got to pivot here. I've got to change. Like, what can I say? Why I was telling them this? Because I can't remember what my actual point was.
What's the point of the story? Yeah. I even hopped on a Zoom with quite a few women actually more recently who are the same age as me, going through the same life circumstances. And I hop on the Zoom and they've looked at me. This is 3 women now who've said, right, now can you remember what are we on the Zoom for today? Like, crazy. So unless I put notes in my diary now about what's the reference or the context of this chat, I literally cannot remember. It's just crazy. We're going to move along. Yeah, I want to talk to you, and I want to look at some of the signs and symptoms. And we actually have a graphic here that we can show everybody for anybody who has just joined. If you have just joined us, welcome to today's live stream. It's World Menopause Day. Oh, hello, Julia Costa, and hi, Jen from Newlands. Keep up the conversations. Thank you for your mahi. Thank you, Julia and Jen. Lovely to have you on the chat. So, Yin, let's talk through some of the symptoms that we can see up here on the screen. And, you know, obviously this was some of the reason why, you know, you were inspired to create this product. So let's just jump through. What are the most common symptoms that we see from women showing up with peri or menopause symptoms? What are we seeing most?
Right. So, before that, there were 48 reported symptoms that's associated with menopause.
Goodness.
I think on 70 or 80% of women can only name 3 of the 48 symptoms.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I look at all these symptoms, one of the earliest symptoms is usually period change. So in my case, it's the cycle length and flow. It just changed. My period cycle time is shortened quite significantly. So that's usually one of the early signs, experienced by a lot of women. And then there's a lot of like mood or brain related, like brain fog is one of the classic symptoms many women experience.
Totally agree.
Yeah, become moody or emotionally amplified, whether it's a happy,
It's like you're telling the story of my life. Yeah.
whether it's a happy emotion or whether it's a sad, angry emotion.
Yeah.
You can cry over very little things.
Like TV commercials. Yes, I've done it. Yeah. Yeah.
Or get angry about
Someone
the loud
chewing.
noise. And then it comes to the digestive, the metabolic changes as well. The bloating, the weight gain around abdominal, and also that impact on your skin health as well. For me personally, I started to have acne on my skin, which I never had when I was a teenager. I was thinking, why now?
So interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. Now, one of the things we chatted about the other weekend was you were talking to me about how the ovaries actually age. And I had and this was a cultural thing that you were sharing. I had never heard about this. Can you just, especially for anybody who's tuning in right now, can you just share some insights into that philosophy or that understanding?
Yeah, so the scientists have now discovered that out of all the human organs, including male and females, ovaries is the first organ to age. The functions start to decline at about 35.
Whoa!
Yeah, and we all know of ovaries are the main producers of female hormones, right?
Yep.
So as their functions decline, of course we're going to have less or reduced production of female hormones. And that's why one of the early signs of going through the transition is period change.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously estrogen in particular is really important for bone density, I believe, and so many things. But I also, I was watching some videos on it recently, and I learned that estrogen is also associated with, when we are going through our productivity years, where we, might want to have children and things like that, it affects our moods so that we're a little bit more tolerant of the loud chewers, and we're a little bit more tolerant of, partners who might be a bit stupid or annoying. We're more tolerant, but because we've got less estrogen production as we age and go through this whole process, that's why all of a sudden we do get angry at the loud chewing, and apparently it's associated with that, which I had we become less tolerant. I don't know.
Tolerant.
You'd probably know more about that than I would, definitely.
That one, no.
Yeah, it's a new one.
It's probably to do with how your brain how your brain cope with or communicate with this change. So it's not just about the decline, it's about the fluctuation. And the fluctuation is related to most of the mood-related symptoms. So the brain talks to our ovaries. So when our ovary function declines, production declines, our brain tries to compensate by sending louder signals. Hey, you need to produce more,
Yeah, or
and
you just
our
need to fight.
Ovaries sometimes get it, sometimes just don't, and sometimes overreact. And that's what the fluctuation is, and that confuses our brain. And that's why the mood stuff
changes
coming.
So you're the visionary behind Metamora and this amazing natural product to support women going through this important change. And you do come from a biochemistry background. So understanding hormones must have been quite a fascinating study for you. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, I'm still learning, to be honest. I think I still only just understand a very tiny small part of it. And I'm a food scientist by education, and we share a lot of biochemical biology, biochemistry papers with biotech students. So I do understand from a scientific point of view of what's going on. If I read a paper, I understand. So as I was going through this journey myself, I did a quick Google search, say, what's happening? I mean, it can't be an overnight thing. What's actually happening before that? I saw a graph, which is probably most of you have seen. It's a hormonal shift.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah, fluctuation and decline. But it got me curious because I felt that shouldn't be the only thing. There must be many other things happening underneath that we are trying to understand. So I started to read a whole bunch of papers, literature reviews. I remember I've got this paper, it's my hand script all over it. And that's the only time, my first time I feel like a scientist, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So many different neurotransmitters involved, hormones involved, many biological pathways involved, many interconnected systems involved. I got myself into a rabbit hole, and still yet I don't think I have understood most of it. Yeah. So still learning.
Amazing. Yeah. Even though I'm sort of in the thick of it right now and learning, trying to understand what this whole new system is about, I've been really interested to find that there's crossovers into the work I do as a speaker and when I train people as speakers as well. So, for example, I teach people about power posing as a way to boost your confidence before you go out to speak. So the whole act, because you're, like you were saying, everything's interconnected.
Yeah.
The whole act of the connection between your neurology and your physiology is so strong that when you power pose before you go out to speak, it actually increases testosterone by about 70%.
Oh, wow.
So understanding those things, it's almost like I feel we're all at this cusp of learning, okay, if there's a new game going on, how do we play that game?
Yeah.
And that's why I think these conversations are so important right now.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, cool, how did you score a goal? What worked for you? You know, it's like, you know, what are those tips and tricks? It's like sleeping with a towel. Never thought about that. Oh, you know, today's years. And so simple. All I've done is just strip everything off and just grin and bear it. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, it's just so hot. Yin, amazing. Thank you so much. Daphne, I want to jump across to you. You have been in this health and wellbeing space for 30 years. From your medical and nutritional perspective, so following on from what Ian started talking about, what are the key things that women need to know from your perspective about how do we manage those symptoms as naturally or as easily as we can?
I think first the main thing is it's a natural process. It's been medicalised and been made a disease, but it's not. It's a natural process. It's a graduation. You know, you've done your reproductive years, and it's a phase of life.
I like that.
That's so good.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's not the end. It's it's the beginning of another phase. So I think that's really, really important. And it is holistic. All health is holistic. You know, as Yin said, you know, everything's interconnected. We've got biochemical reactions everywhere. We need minerals. We need nutrients. We need so many things to have all these pathways working correctly. So when something's not going in the right direction for you, you know, one drug or one nutrient's not going to fix it. It's got to be multifactorial.
Yeah.
You know, so I focus on sleep. Sleep is number one, and gut health is number two. You know, so it's not always reaching straight for hormone support because we know, well, I know working with women and for over a long time is some people sail through it, they have no issues. And I ask, what do you think it is? And a lot of them, I have to say, you might not like this one, they don't drink. The ones that say they have no issues, they don't drink. So that shows
me off the list.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I think that's the toxic load because our liver does a lot of processing, and not just alcohol. There's toxins everywhere. You know, a newborn baby's born with 250 chemicals in its umbilical cord. So we're born into a toxic world. Add the air we breathe, the food we eat, etc. So And then the next biggest thing is stress. And I think that's where women need to be very kind to themselves. You know, women are driven, you know, we're mums, we're working, we're business owners, we're looking after kids, parents,
Juggling them.
husbands, we're juggling. And it's like, you know, you actually have to take time for yourself. You have to find happiness in your day. You've got to find peace in your day. So meditation increases DHEA, which is a natural hormone that we make in our adrenals that actually goes on to make estrogen and progesterone. So if our adrenals so go through menopause, adrenals aren't working very well, we're not producing our own hormones. So it's a small amount, but we can still make them. So let's look at stress. How can we do that? And a quick tip, because I've talked about night flushes. So daytime flushes is low estrogen. Nighttime flushes is high cortisol. So that's the stress component. So, But I could keep talking.
No, keep talking. I'm sitting here, I'm soaking all of this up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so there's a lot. And gut health is so profound because if we think about estrogen alone, while we might be giving in the medical world, we're very lucky now to have bioidentical hormones that are funded, and these have been great for many women, but that's only addressing the estrogen giving, raising, but we have to detoxify these things, and I genetic test people, so some people have fast phase 1, slow phase 2, so we get a build-up of the negative metabolites, which can go down cancer pathways. Yep. We then have to clear them out through the gut, and if we have poor gut health, these negative metabolites are going back through our body and causing havoc. And every cell in our body has hormone receptors, so no wonder we're getting head-to-toe symptoms.
Yeah.
So gut health is so important. You know, we want our bowels moving daily. If we're constipated, you know, we need to address that. You know,
it's not often I am lost for words, but I am lost with. No, it's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. Wow. And you've only just touched the surface, and you've gone super deep already. Yeah. Are you even kidding me?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot. And that's why it's really hard for, I think, any illness, not just menopause, but, you know, and I mean, medicine is very important. It's you know, we break a leg, we have a heart attack, we can save our lives, but in this chronic health, you know, that we're going through as humans, you know, medicine isn't the answer. It's not the only answer, you know. I'm a big advocate for acupuncturists. Find a traditional trained Chinese acupuncturist, you know, get your energy flow going, you know, mind work, breath work, yoga, you know, and while I say to my husband, you know, you should be doing meditation, he's like, I'll go and pull my bow, you know, bow and arrow, you know, target. That's I'm fun. Breathing, I'm concentrating, I'm not thinking about my day. You know, anything that takes us off that busyness of life calms us, it brings our DHEA up, it lowers, you know, gets us into that parasympathetic nervous system where we need to be in more because we're not there enough.
Oh, that's so good. I'm finding over the last sort of couple of months, I've just joined back into the gym. I loved going to the gym years ago, and then through COVID, I stopped going to the gym and just started drinking, really, to be honest, because I think most of us did. We were either drinking or making banana bread. So for me, I became really lazy during COVID, and going back to it, I actually find now I'll be on the treadmill or I'll be on the rowing machine smiling. Because it's you know, an hour out of my day where I'm not thinking about I've got to do this hustle, right? It's just, and it's not even that it's just about me, because like I can make time for myself anytime, but it's just this almost this hypnotic, repetitive action, and I sit there and I listen to Tony Robbins' motivation, and you know, I sit there just going, and I'm actually smiling. I never thought I would get to that stage, but you know, that disconnect from the busyness of life, I think, has actually started bringing balance again. Is that kind of how it works?
Exactly. I'm always saying, people, turn off your notifications, you know, like use your phone as a tool, not as an interrupter of life, you know, because we're still, genetically, we're still as we were as a caveman, but our life has changed so much, and we're just pushing more and more into this day, and, you know, hence stress and inflammation and then disease, you know. So,
amazing, just amazing. Amazing, thank you. For those of you who have just joined us here in the studio, there you are, welcome. Today it is World Menopause Day. Yay! Go us. And so whether you are somebody currently living through menopause, or you're supporting somebody currently living through menopause, or you think you might be peri but you're not sure, but you're going a little crazy, or you're struggling with your sleep, or struggling with whatever is going on for you, welcome wherever you are in the world. We love love having you here. I'm Monique Bradley here on the panel today. I've got some amazing guests. Over to my right, I've got Teresa Ma'alopa. She is currently one of our, I would nearly said victims. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. One of our experienced lovely humans who is currently going through peri and through menopause.
I'm not a victim. Definitely not a victim.
No, none of us are.
It's all about how you take it.
That's it. We have the creator of Menamora over here on our panel today. This is Yin Zhang. Lovely to have you here, Yin. Amazing menopause supplements to help you through this incredible challenging time, or some people call it a reset or an evolution or a graduation.
Yes.
It's all about how we frame it. And then over on the end we have a lovely Daphne, who is, and I just forgot your surname, Daphne. There it is, Daphne Earls. See, this is what happens with the menopause, doesn't it? Daphne Earls, who has spent 30 years in that health and wellness space from in medical and nutritional background there. So great to have you all on the chat. Let's talk about something that I think is super important. We already touched on this a little bit with you, Teresa, and it's that a little bit to do with that loneliness, that isolation, that feeling that people don't quite understand us. But rather than sort of thinking about how hard it is, I want to move forward. And we are opening up conversations today, and I notice that there are people who are starting to add questions or tag in other people. As an example, Elizabeth has just commented here saying, I'm interested in the night flushes. Mm-hmm. She is high cortisol, and being high cortisol versus the day flushes being low estrogen, this person has just said that she gets both, but wakes during the night feeling, I'm going to combust. That is such a beautiful description. I don't think I'm particularly stressed at the moment. So actually, before we jump into the next topic, from your professional expertise, what do you think's going on?
It's always hard when you can't ask lots of questions.
That's right.
But, I always start with, do you wake between sort of 2 and 5 with the energy to get up, the alertness to get up? You look at the clock and you're like, oh, I can't get up. You might be awake for an hour or two and you might get an hour back asleep. That's your cortisol rising too early. So that means your circadian rhythm's out, because cortisol should come up as the sun comes up, gives us our energy to get up and go. And then as it drops, melatonin with darkness comes up. So we've got this circadian rhythm. So if you're getting that waking, it will be cortisol. Not everyone will admit to stress, but there are people that have these Zen lives and there is no stress, so that they're very lucky. But if you're just waking up simply with hot flushes, we could do a little experiment and do something to try and lower that cortisol, taking it before bed. Sage, I don't know if I've got a veggie garden, get some sage, steep it in water and drink that hot or as a cold. Sage is very good at reducing hot flushes. But yeah, it's always difficult without asking more questions.
I feel like I need a pen and paper.
I know.
Individualised.
I really want to write all this down.
Yeah, it's so good. I do know Elizabeth, who's on the chat, and she's like me. She has a really busy brain.
Yeah, so
busy brain. So like, I'm not stressed.
Yeah.
I'm never really stressed, but my brain's busy.
I'll go, do the small things become the big things. You know, if this lives here, but someone's put it there, you're like, oh, just put it back. That's stress. So it's that control. You can't let it go. So that there is that, cortisol.
I need to work on my cortisol.
I think everybody does. Thank you so much. Elizabeth's just said, I wake and mostly get back to sleep quite quickish.
Quickly, yeah. So it's still,
So it's just a little, hello, wake up.
I guess when things aren't always, obviously you can put a lot of people in a similar boat, but we're all different. So that's where something like Dutch testing is where you go, which is hormone testing, looking at all the pathways through urine testing. So you can get the cortisol levels, you can get the hormones, the pathways, and see where we're going, which you don't get that in blood testing.
What was that, Dutch testing?
Dutch test.
Yeah, Dutch testing.
Might have to try that too.
Yeah, I know, me too. I do have to make a bit of a shout out too, that at any stage, if any of this conversation resonates and you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm not sure what's going on with me, I've got some of these symptoms, we do have to advise you to seek professional help. It is really important. Talk to a healthcare professional about what you might be experiencing, because what you don't measure you can't manage, or whatever they say. It's such a business thing, but it applies to life as well. So make sure you are having those checkups and getting some professional advice there as well. Amazing. Okay, so here's a bit of a question for all of us. We all know, and we often hear, all of us hear menopause described as the end of something, and I think we've decided, like you were saying before, is it really, or is woo car horn outside sounded like somebody had a car accident actually. They did. Goodness. Oh, I hope everybody's okay. From our perspective, as we're back in the studio, we often hear it as the end of something. You've said it's like a transition, or we're talking graduation of a different part of our life. So I really want to think about, how can we flip this time of life, and what if it is the start of actually a new chapter? And we are seeing a lot of our women in this space who are becoming very powerful and very strong and making different decisions for themselves, and really stepping up. Maybe they're getting a bit angry and they're telling people to chew with your mouth closed and things like that. We are becoming, what I'm seeing online is women who are freer, they're wiser. I want to say they give less, but I won't say the swear word. They care less about those things that used to mean so much. That like our identity, not saying that we don't look after ourselves, because we do, but it's more about how we show up and the energy we bring into the room. We sort of own ourselves a little bit more. We're less likely to put up with other people's nonsense.
That's right.
Would that be fair? Yeah. So I thought let's see what we can do to dream a bit today and see if we can start having different narratives around it. So Teresa, I wanted to start with you. What do you think the future could look like if every woman felt fully supported? You've been through your own journey where you weren't listened to by your healthcare professional. So what could being looked after look like?
Yeah, I mean, wow, just some of the stuff that Daphne's been saying is blowing my mind. To understand what is going on means that you at least have some level of control, I guess, or you can make the choice on whether you want to do something about it. And I think that's like that, having that understanding so that you can choose if you don't want to drink or not. Like for some of us, it's not really something we would consider.
I'm very social.
Me too. But like that, knowing that if I chose to not do that, actually that might put me back into balance, is empowering. It gives me that choice. And these other things around cortisol levels, what can I do? Because again, it empowers me with the choice on what I want to do, and then it allows me to feel the best I can feel, which means again I can be genuine and authentic out there. And I think that's that genuine and authenticity conversation is probably quite key, because we should be genuine and authentic about how we feel and not be afraid to turn around and go, I feel like today.
Crap today.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. There you go. I totally agree.
And for people around us to understand that. I always thought that I had to operate at 110%. Always tried to operate at 110%. And some days, these days, I can still do that. Other days, I just don't know how I'm going to wake up. So so I think for me, ideally, if we've got the information and we can understand what's going on, then we can choose what we want to do about it.
We can make better choices.
That's right.
100%. I love that. Yin, you are quite the champion for women's empowerment and women reclaiming their voice and being visible. I love that you've set up with Metamora. You've got an online community that you're just launching as well on Facebook called We See You. I think this is so brilliant for women to have these conversations in a really safe and beautiful space. And if you are watching, by the way, we've got the details here. If you want to join the community, by the way, scan that QR code if you're on your computer and watching. Grab your phone, scan that QR code, or look for it on Facebook as well. We See You. It's a safe space for everybody to share their experiences. No judgment in the group. Hopefully a lot of laughs. I'm going to be in there, so hopefully we crack a few jokes. But I love that this for you is about helping women be seen and be visible, reclaim their power, feel confident, which is really behind why you set up Metamora to start with.
Yeah.
And I want to understand, I know that for you, a lot of this was about finding balance. You mentioned the word balance. And in your research and as you were building this company, balance was a big thing that
Yes.
you looked at, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes, absolutely. So the balance, what we call interconnected holistic approach. Like a lot of what Daphne shared fits perfectly to what we have come up with. And as I said earlier, the subject, the biology behind it is so complicated. And being, if I imagine myself being a woman, I don't have time to understand all these complicated things. So really what we did is we simplified it a little bit for us to understand it and being able to remember some of it, and also making the right lifestyle and nutrition decisions, linking back to this balance diagram that
That you've got there on
we've got on the screen. So underneath the hormonal balance bar, we have ovarian health, right? So we touched a point earlier, it's the main producer of female hormones. But then on the side, it's adrenal health, which I actually learned from talking to Daphne the other day. So you can see that as ovarian function stepping out through the process, we have adrenal gland stepping in. Isn't that smart that we are designed our it's such a masterpiece of engineering work that we designed that way.
Very
It really is.
Yeah, that's right. So and then so adrenal health is linked to cortisol levels.
Amazing.
Because of cortisol levels, we actually overloaded our adrenals, and so it can't produce enough of the hormone precursors that then gets converted into female hormones or estrogens. Yeah.
Wow, so interesting.
That's right. So there's a stepping out and stepping in mechanism that's happening that we all naturally designed to have. And then on top of that chart, there is brain health. The communication, the master commanders, the one that controls, regulates everything. And then beside that, liver health, the detox mechanism, right? Get rid of the toxic or excessive or used estrogens, remove them from our body before they start to go down
The
harmful
nasty
pathways. Gut health that you mentioned earlier. There's also something interesting about gut health, and that I've learned is it's a recycling plant as well. So there's a special group of microorganisms, they called estroballoon. They convert estrogen metabolites back to the active form. So again, it fine-tunes that balance at a gut health level, and gut health linked to brain health, the gut-brain axis, gut-skin axis, gut-liver. Taking care of our gut is fundamental. It's like you're building you have a house, maybe it's a bit round down, wobbly, but as long as the foundations are robust, you can fix what's on top. But if the foundation is not, whatever you put on is just going to make it even worse. So remember that.
This is so interesting. So what I'm taking from that, Yin, is that even if you make one change to one of those things, so as simple like you were saying, Daphne, get better sleep, or look at your liver. Look at your liver health, or look at your gut health. Even if you change one of those things, you'll have a profound change on how you experience menopause. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. You'd be surprised.
Positive or negative.
Positive. That's what I say. That's what I say, which is why that image of showing the things that are above and below the line, you can see, wow, what would happen, if your adrenals, like I've spent most of my life in an over adrenal state. I've had adrenal gland burnout. I know what that feels like. and I've done a lot of work to try and balance them again. Now I feel relatively good, but then I noticed my gut health really sucked afterwards. So working on that over the last couple of months has been pivotal. And I have to say, it has actually affected my sleep now that I'm thinking about it. My sleep is actually getting better because of that. Is that what you see in clinic all the time?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's we're amazing organisms, and we just know so little about us, you know, and what will happen in the future. You know, I'd just be so interesting to see where it goes. But we're so interconnected, and that's the saddest thing about medicine is, you know, it's one drug, one pathway. It's why we don't gain, you know, wellness when we take that pathway. So yeah, it is really important. And you can start with food, you know, like you know what I teach people is, you know, look at that plate, and what you're trying to do is have conversations with your gut bacteria and your genes, because the phytonutrients in that food talk to your gut bacteria and they talk to your genes. So if it's a dead plate, that too, variety of these plants, and I don't say plants because I do eat meat. My husband and son hunt. We eat a lot of venison, but, you know, I grow a lot of vegetables, so it's spray-free. I'm trying to remove that chemical load, but, you know, plants are just having so many amazing conversations. And the minute you just put some good prebiotic fibre into someone's diet and get those bowels moving, it's amazing the difference.
So good. So good.
That's right.
Okay, so I want to jump now into a few sort of interesting questions around products and around things that can work and how we can do things differently, and some practical hacks, because I'm aware we've got 7 minutes left of our broadcast. That went so quick, didn't it? Amazing. So I'm going to start with you, Daphne, while we're here. What new approaches, whether it's nutrition, lifestyle or medical advances, are making the biggest difference right now?
Energy, bioresonance. There's a lot of frequency healing coming in through light and sound. I think that's going to be profound in the future. It's pretty bold to say that now because not many people know about it, but I'm seeing it. I think getting back to nature. You know, we've got too much technology around us, Wi-Fi, you know, we need to ground, we need to get into the bush, we need to get to the ocean, we need to, you know, live in nature, in community and at peace, you know, find happiness, because everything is within here. We're reaching for it elsewhere from our phones, you know, but we've got the power in here. We just have to listen to it.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. Okay, Ian, I'm going to jump to you.
Yeah.
So you've created Metamora. It's an amazing, innovative solution compared to some of the other products that are out there, because it's not just a one and done. This is to support the different stages of menopause as well. And of course, we don't just say, you know, don't go to your doctor and don't get HRT.
right.
You've got to find the right solution for you.
Yes.
We know, we've all had this conversation before we went on camera. For some people, HRT is amazing.
Yeah.
You've got to honour that. For some people, it's not so good. You've got to find what works for you, right? So from your perspective, what makes your solution a little bit different? Why did you do this?
That's a really good question. What makes us different is we focus on the holistic approach, not just one or two, but we try to care for the key interconnected parts of our body that shift as part of the transition or even prior to. So that's one difference that we try to do. And two, we're not just the product. We want to build a community where women feel seen and heard, understood, a community where we comfortably share stories, or whether it's embarrassing stories or funny stories, because women shouldn't navigate this by themselves. As I mentioned earlier, I think back then we are a lot closer community than what it is nowadays, and I do want to bring that community vibe back. So we're not navigating this all alone. And another thing I want to add is, if we think about menopause, one of the key messages there that we should all learn is building into the name. It's pause. It's the moment of allowing us to pause. And yeah,
I never thought about it like that.
that's right. Yeah, pause. So I know we all feel, we just need to get going. We can't afford to stop. But it's only the pause that allows us to realign, refocus and reprioritize. It's not about admitting weakness or giving up. So when we name our brand, Mora in Latin, that means pause.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. In
That's a
Latin, that's
beautiful
pause.
thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. And obviously that aligns with what you were talking about, Daphne, with cortisol as well, and stress and not taking enough time for ourselves. And what I've loved about the chat today too is with the two of you sitting there, like I was looking at the ingredients in the Menopause product, and it's food.
Yeah.
It's food. And that's
Yeah.
what you're talking about is we
Yeah.
can get these things like sage from the garden. And, there's that whole sort of philosophy that came through. Was it Socrates or somebody who said, let food be thy medicine?
Yeah.
And we have everything in nature, and that's effectively what you've done as a food scientist.
That's right, yeah.
To create a product that serves us.
Exactly. Allow us to work.
During the pause.
That's right.
During the pause.
During the pause.
They're amazing formulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's so much on the market, and I've never seen anything that's really helps that many people. So I've always just focused on those fundamentals.
Yep.
And when Yin spent the time to actually go, and I was like, oh my God, she's
smart.
yeah.
She's smart and beautiful.
Isn't it lovely to get a validation
I
from,
know, from a professional.
professional? Yeah.
Teresa, before we finish up today, I wanted to ask you have you got some practical hacks for navigating through the pause?
Well, I mean, when it comes to, I guess, anything that I have learned, it's just been about listening to other people and starting the conversation with friends, or just anyone, to be honest.
Random stranger on the street. Hello, are you living with menopause?
I was at a women's business lunch yesterday, and at the end of the day, we were talking about what's everybody up to over the weekend, and I brought this up, and so we had a good half-hour conversation about how we were all feeling, and that we were all normal. And that's probably the biggest hack here is you have to just make sure you understand you're normal. What you're going through is completely normal. And there is going to be somebody else out there that's going through exactly the same thing. And so for me, I've been on Menopause for probably 4 to 5 months now, I think it's been, and I've seen a vast improvement in a lot of things. In fact, I've had people comment on how amazing my skin looks.
Your skin does look really
And I've
good.
never had fantastic skin in my life.
Wow.
So the last time was probably as a 5-year-old,
Wow.
So the fact that people can actually see it in me as well, that there's differences, there's things that have been changing, that I'm clearly healthier from within because it's showing on the outer as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's made me really aware of how much pressure I do put on myself, how much stress. What is it that I need today? Not what do I have to do today?
Oh, that's so good. That's a juicy one. That's great.
What do I need?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that means rearranging my days. Sometimes everything that I do, I write down now, just because I need to have confidence that the brain fog is not going to make me forget things. So that's probably my other hack is write it all
Write
down.
everything down.
I got a friend of mine that's like, or do it straight away. She's like, I've got a 5-second rule. If I've thought about something that I have to do, I either write it down or I go do it straight away.
Great idea.
Otherwise, I've forgotten it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Funny that you're talking to random people about, menopause and ending up in this conversation. I did a keynote a few days ago, and there's about 120 people in the room, and they were talking. My goal was to talk about how to be confident in the things that you get challenged with as a speaker. If you have to speak and you're not comfortable doing it, what do you deal with? So people were giving me all their signs and symptoms, and one of the signs was sweating. And so at the very end of the keynote, I said, cool, we're going to make sure we've covered everything in this presentation. And it got to sweating, and I just turned around to the room and I went, I'm a menopausal woman, we just deal with it. And half the room went, yes, we do. And it was so nice because it was the elephant in the room. And I just looked at them, I just said, drink more water, please. And even the men in the room, they went, yeah, we get it. So I think it is very much a universal topic. And like I think think we've all said today. The more we talk about it, the better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
well, it's
right.
interesting that you mentioned the men. Like, I had a conversation with a couple of women, and there were a couple of men as part of that conversation, and some of them are reading books on it so they can understand
Yeah.
what their wife is going through.
Beautiful.
Or they're like, I kind of feel sorry for them, right? How do we expect them to know what we want when we don't know what we want right now? So, you know, like they're probably doing it a little tough at the moment too.
That's
you know?
right. All I can say is if they go out to get bread, milk or tea, bring back treats. That's just a given, right? That's just a given. So we have come to the end of today's show, and I do want to say thank you to everybody. I've had some great comments in the feed here. Elizabeth said, ladies, thank you so much. This is gold. Such an important conversation to have. Love your passion and knowledge. Thanks, Monique. Oh, you're welcome for hosting, and always great questions as always. Appreciate you. Appreciate anybody who jumped on the chat today. Appreciate you for watching. So we're going to finish up today with a little bit of an impact message. I've got to find my camera. There we are. There we go. Number one, if you are a woman in peri or in menopause right now, we want you to speak up. We want you to speak your truth and find your tribe. That's the most important thing. Have conversations with women that you get on with. Join your local networking group. You'll always find women who are going through the same stage of life as you. Don't white knuckle it alone, because you'll just end up hurting yourself. But don't. In fact, we do want you to join the club. And as I mentioned earlier, Yin and the Menamora team have actually set up a group where you can join us and you can share openly. As you can see, it's a group called We See You. It's a safe space for you to openly share what you're going through. You are not going crazy. As Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep on going. So keep on going, and this is a great place to join up and know that you are not alone. You can scan that QR code and join the group. Now, if you are a partner, a boss, educate yourself. That's the one thing we want you to know, because the women that you are working with, they deserve empathy, not eye rolls.
Yeah, agree.
Right? We're all on the same boat
Love
there.
that.
And also, if you have loved this conversation, please, we'd love for you to share the conversation as well. It is really important that these conversations go far and wide. So start talking about menopause openly at your work. Talk about it with your colleagues. Talk about it in the boardroom. Talk about it at the dinner table with your children, because they need to know.
Yeah.
And the more that we normalise menopause, the stronger, healthier and more confident we all become. So I want to thank my guests, my beautiful guests here in the room, Teresa,
thank
Yin,
you, Renee.
Daphne, thank you so much for joining me today
you.
in the studio. And of course to Pete, who is a menopause champion and me behind the scenes, who is producing today. And I want to thank all of you who watched. Thank you for joining us to support World Menopause Day. You are not alone, my friends. Your story matters. And the next chapter, you get to pause right now and think about it. It might just be your most powerful one yet. So in closing today, ko Monique Bradley, tōku ingoa he kai kōrero aho. I'm Monique Bradley, I'm a storyteller, and so are you. So make your message to the world and your message to yourself meaningful. Engari, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora, everybody. Thanks, team. Yay.
Thank you. Yes.